Hello everyone, my name is Siyao. I feel so glad to give the research presentation in this class to you. I choose to study the African slave trade and the influence in history in my research project. We see that slave trade has a very important status and influences in world history. Some of the influences are including the slave trade brought about a negative impact on African society and led to the long-term impoverishment of West Africa. The European countries earned a lot and they became the imperialism later then. In America, many slaves were asked to work to develop the monorail economy. And later then, till now, America has the racial problem. I want to explore the Africa slave trade and the influence in history, such as the slavery in America later. The reasons for selecting the topic of slave trade and its influences are such as we see that firstly, slave trade has the very important influences to different places in the world and even till today. Secondly, it could help me to understand better about the history and the situations that the African people have in history and now. Slave trade definitely contributed a lot to African Americans' history and their life till now. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, people were kidnapped from the continent of Africa, forced into slavery in the Americans' colonies, and exploited to work as indentured servants and labor in the production of crops such as tobacco and cotton. In the 17th and 18th centuries, enslaved Africans worked mainly on the tobacco, rice, and indigo plantations of the southern coast, from the Chesapeake Bay, colonies of Maryland and Virginia south to Georgia. After the American Revolution, many colonists, particularly in the North, where slavery was relatively unimportant to the agricultural economy, began to link the operations of enslaved Africans to their own operation by the British and to call for slavery's abolition. Though the Union victory freed the nation's 4 million enslaved people, and legacy of slavery continued to influence Americans' history. From the Reconstruction to the civil rights movement that emerged a century after emancipation and beyond. The Jim Crow and racial segregation limited African Americans' rights. The fighting for racial equality does not stop even till today. The 5 major points that I learned are such as the Middle Passage, influence of slave trade in Africa and America, slavery in America, racial inequality, the meaning of slave trade from the slave trade. Africans were brought to America within several decades of being brought to the American colonies. Africans were stripped of human rights and enslaved as chattel. An enslavement that lasted more than 2 centuries. Black people played the importance by the mid-19th century. America's westward expansion, along with a growing anti-slavery movement in the North, prevailed a national debate over slavery that helped precipitate in American Civil War. The abolition of the slavery in America did not bring racial equality. Till now, people are still working on that. The impact to me of this research is I know that slave trade is really harmful. Countries and people need to work a lot on the legacy of slave trade. We still need to have hope in our mind that we could get racial equality at last. Thank you.